Next series up is this INnoVation versus soO. Best of 3. As I take a moment to think about how I'm going to do the intros, as I just say the player names right from the start anyway. Obviously, soO will be our red Zerg top left, and INnoVation our blue Terran bottom right. Some TVZ, a continuation from the Alpha X Code CD tournament. Casting some of the replays of that here. Again, if this one ends up on YouTube, then hello YouTube, how you doing? Thank you so much for the continued support, and thanks so much for continuing to watch the videos. Hope you've all been enjoying. As always, feel free to let me know down below in the comments what you're thinking. If you're enjoying the games and all of that, don't forget to leave a like on the video, because the difference that makes in terms of letting other people find these great games is amazing. And of course, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, help us out, because I need to pick a new subscriber goal. We obviously were pushing to 20,000 for a long time. 20k in 2020 was the attempted hashtag, but we just smashed that. We did 20k in the first 5 months of 2020. So now at 20k subs, what is next? 30k? Do we do 30k by the end of the year? Is that the game plan, to try and get 30k YouTube subs by the end of the year? Maybe. I think we can do that. Maybe that's the goal we go for. Unless we push ourselves and we're like 35k by the end of the year. I think that's a bit tougher, but maybe also possible. Maybe we go for 30k for now. Anyways, let's go into this game number 1 of this TVZ, as the Reaper is going to start up, and it's just been a hatch followed up from a pool. So it is a pool first from soO. A little bit afraid of potential proxied barracks at the start of this, as the extractor will follow up from this as well. So it's not going to be aggressive from soO. He's just going into a couple of Zerglings to get started. As we do just have the couplings out down this left-hand side. And yeah, going to be going out across the bottom right side. Reaper is going to be finishing up. A queen going to be done from soO in the main base as well in just a few moments. And just going to be seeing our command center on the natural expansion getting set up and ready to go. Reaper is going to come up the right, and we'll just be going to see what's up. Of course, he knows it's a pool first because he had the SCV scout, so you already know it's spawning pool first. And if you already know it's spawning pool first, you do want to be cautious with this Reaper. You do want to make sure it's like, okay, well, keep this Reaper back. Get this Marine joined up with that Reaper as well. And the Marine can oftentimes help a lot. He's going to find this Overlord, but I don't think you get the Overlord kill before it gets to high ground here. That is high ground here, right? Maybe not. Apparently, wow, apparently it really isn't. I thought there was high ground near here, but no? Or is it? Maybe it isn't. Just soO wanted to get there with better health on the Overlord. Yeah, I'm not actually 100% sure, because usually you don't see Overlords out toward the third base location. I just know over here you've obviously got here. I'd be very surprised if this wasn't high ground when this is. So yeah, I imagine that is high ground. Just kind of surprised why soO then decided to go like off over to the left-hand side. It was like he just wanted to not take damage as the Reaper nearly got the block on the third hatchery. So the third hatchery is able to drop down there. Zergling speed about halfway along. A couple of Hellions still building up from INnoVation. And 2 Zerglings of soO will come up into the main base. INnoVation took a few shots there as the barracks from INnoVation drops down. A tech lab and the starport on the way as well. So double gas. It will be a bit of tech and pressure here early from INnoVation. It will not just be a setup into a whole, you know, not into a fast 3cc or anything, which is not too surprising for a map like Simulacrum, which is typically just, Simulacrum's a weird one. I never really know where to place it, actually, right? Because sometimes I feel like, oh, okay, you know, you can take 3 bases in Simulacrum, you can defend that very easily. But then other times I look at Simulacrum and I'm a bit like, well, it is a, you know, it is kind of a longer rush distance, yet people love to roach rush on it a lot of the time. And, you know, early in the game, these ramps don't really come into play as much. I mean, I don't mind this being just something a bit different. I actually like that this is going to be a fusion core already starting, as a few Hellions and a Reaper want to go up into the base. We do have a Reaper and a few Hellions coming across over the left-hand side. Not going to find too much just yet. You just have a battlecruiser continue to build from INnoVation, so getting that underway. Yeah, different, a little bit different. I wonder if he's going to go and play bio from the back of this, because that has been the way to do this lately. Playing bio is like a follow-up to a battlecruiser, just 1 BC bio. 3 BC into Mech is really kind of an outdated, and it just doesn't really exist anymore. You don't really see that much, as the Hellions are looking for an option to go into the natural. They will not find it, though. They will turn back around. There's the Yamato starting up. So that's actually a pretty big deal, because that tells us this will be more than one battle cruiser. The extra gases tell us a bit of that as well. And we're not going to see bio here from INnoVation, which is really a big difference to just everything we've seen recently in the meta. So really changing this up a little bit as INnoVation back up to the top here. A couple of creep tumors pressing out through the top side and into the center of the map. Hellions will rallying across. I'm a little bit afraid for soO, who on a faster lair and into Aspire and the Balin speed is really limited in scouting. Only really sees that there's a lot of Hellions at the front, and even then 8 Hellions isn't really an indicator of the fact that this isn't going to be bio. Now extra Hellions, I mean, now you've got to start wondering. Now you see the BC as well, and again soO's preparation is just absolutely zero, so he's in some trouble. These Hellions are going to fight these queens, and that's a lot of queens going down. And as soon as you start losing queens in this scenario, then you start taking further damage, because then the BC goes unchecked, especially in a world where, what, you're going to have, what, 1 spore crawler per base, and even that's not going to cover the entire mineral lines and gases as well. And even then, there's just nothing to fight these Hellions off. These few Zerglings aren't going to do enough. These Hellions will make their way to a mineral line, already getting 6 workers, and that's just going to keep on rising. That Hellion count really is crazy at this stage, and I think INnoVation has just caught soO completely off guard to the point where this might not end, because the Spire will finish and some Mutalisks will come up and they'll be able to come through and fight the BC and clean up the Hellions. If you even want to build Mutas, I mean, off the Baneling speed, you might just try and play Mutaling Bane against the Mech, which is something that soO has made work in previous matches against the top Korean Terrans before. Obviously, from this sort of a disadvantage, then probably not so much as the BC. Oh, it's so low, but it's also so close to a teleport. He just gets out of there. 1 queen hit away from death, as the Hellions are here to protect the counterattack. I mean, now soO knows for sure that this is Mech. So many Hellions can mean nothing else. And INnoVation, well, he'll be just smiling with how well positioned he is. I mean, the few mutas coming up. The thing is with mutas, I feel like the mutas work well when you're playing maybe like 1 BC. Against a few BCs, it becomes very tough, and especially when soO can only afford 6. What are they meant to do? Even the first couple of Cyclones that pop out here are going to be a reasonably good defense against this. Now, Mutas arrive in the main base. INnoVation can start moving the BCs across. The Cyclones are about to pop a couple of lock-ons here, and that's just 2 Mutalisks that should go down very quickly. He actually turns back to fight the Cyclones, but will not get the kills in time, and there's Yamato's going off as well to also just add to the pain and destruction of soO in this game, because now those Mutalisks are obviously going to do absolutely nothing. And INnoVation not only did damage, he also deflected any possibility of counter damage. And now soO, well, you know, these games sometimes have a tendency to go on a little bit after they are kind of decided. But in this case, I'm actually not even sure if it will go on a little bit, because INnoVation's already moving across the map, and there really just is not a way to fight these battle cruisers. Yeah, there's a couple mutas, but are they going to survive long enough to take down 2 BCs with how few mutas there are? I'm not really a believer right away here. Yamato, 2 BCs kill a Mutalisk already. I mean, obviously there's the Queens to maybe help out as well. But then what's on the ground to fight off the Hellion Cyclone, right? The Hellions are just going to run through, and there's just absolutely no way these BCs are just going to fight these mutas off. And yeah, there's a Cyclone here to help out a little bit extra as well. There's no way you get on top of that. 3rd BC shows up. This game will not go on any longer than it needs to, because INnoVation has too much here on the 3rd base. Overlord's going down, lines up another Yamato, will snipe down a Mutalisk from a distance, and that will be INnoVation to take the first map of this best of 3. Just a BC build that was really not expected at all, I suppose. I say I suppose, it just wasn't. So it was a battlecruiser build that was just not expected here from soO. No preparation, no scouting. One of the nice things about that Marine early in the game, right, just to quickly go back in, the Marine that came out over here and then pushes this Overlord to this upper position here means the Overlord's never really in a spot to see anything toward the main. Kind of an interesting place to send the Overlord this way anyway. Maybe he was trying to get to here. Either way, it's just painful for soO. I guess he was checking for proxy racks or so, and then it just meant the Overlords were never in position, so he never knew what was up. And then INnoVation is obviously in a very good spot, able to take down a game number 1 in this Terran versus Zerg. Second map is in the bottom left-hand side. The red Zerg player is soO from the Afrika Freaks. soO, who was able to take down INnoVation, our blue Terran, in the bottom right-hand side. He was able to take down INnoVation in the TSL5, and that was a big upset for me, especially because I know soO's ZVT had been looking pretty good lately, but I didn't think it had been looking that good. And he's just been looking great in that tournament. Not going to give any spoilers for the games that happened a bit more recently, but just to say his ZVT continues to look fantastic, and yeah, soO really kind of hitting his stride lately again. soO is such a player that kind of sometimes really shows up and looks amazing, and other times it's like, what did happen to soO, you know? And it's like, is this when soO really just falls off the face of StarCraft 2 and he's just gone, and then it's like, nope, soO's back, he's looking great again, could absolutely make like a playoff GSL run or something. You know, that's how good he's looking. So yeah, very interesting, I suppose, that kind of back and forth kind of tendency soO has to go from success to not so much success and bounce back again. It's pretty sick. But yeah, soO really has been looking good lately, and it's very exciting to see. I think you can't really read too much into that first game, a game where the game is really just decided based off the fact that soO did not know there was a battle cruiser coming, and just zero preparation there. Really hoping we see something a little bit closer and a little bit more kind of towards being able to really kind of show off just how good soO is in this game number 2. So let's see what happens as we do have our Reaper building up from INnoVation. This game just a little bit more standard without the pool first, so it's a hatch, gas, and pool. The pool first isn't necessarily not standard. In fact, the pool first is fairly standard for TVZ, but it is also a this is the you know, this is the kind of more macro-focused opener, and sometimes the pool first leads to some aggression. Last game, it really felt like soO was just afraid of the possibility of a proxy rack, so opening pool first for safety is absolutely a thing in the Zerg versus Terran. Absolutely something that can happen a lot of the time as this Reaper makes its way out over to the left-hand side. You're going to be seeing the link speed already building here from soO. A couple of queens on the way up, the drones in production, and this Reaper gets across into the natural mineral line where these few lings are already going to try and fight a little bit. Reaper taking a few shots of damage. But at the end of the day, just about surviving with the link speed of soO still on the way up. And just going to go and check for that third hatchery location. Of course, some Zergs take the gold very rarely just because of how good it is to be behind this mineral line and be able to harass from there. And if you do see the gold being taken, you can even just mine out these minerals in the center to give your Hellions. You don't even need to drop the Hellions down, basically. You just mine out in the center, then you can run down here quite easily. And then you can also bring the Hellions back up to the top side for later in the game as well, you know, or for a different attack, basically. So, I'd be kind of surprised if soO took the base down to the gold. Expect this base here to be taken in the fairly near future, but soO's going to go for a pretty quick lair. So that's a fairly quick lair that soO sets up into now. There's a few extra drones coming in. The factory going to be finishing from INnoVation, and that's obviously worth mentioning as well, that this game is taking an interesting turn. There's going to be Blue Flame Hellbats in the early stages of game number 2. INnoVation really brought this up at Katowice and Maru as well, and we saw this really kind of take popularity as kind of a good kind of build to throw in every now and then. And it can work well. You know, you show it with some Blue Flame Hellions and your opponent isn't expecting it. It can absolutely put the Zerg into a bit of an awkward spot, as soO will drop a third hatchery in the location here now. But that's a very late third hatch, and I will say INnoVation, he's going to see it right away. So now he knows. Okay, he's like, okay, well, why is your hatchery so late? What are you up to? soO just starts a Bane Nest, though, which kind of suggests that he just wants to go for, like, a super fast Spire play. I actually think if he goes Spire now, he won't have meters up to deal with the first wave of Blue Flame Hellbats, right? But if you can hold that first wave of Blue Flame Hellbats, INnoVation is going to be left with basically no anti-air to help out further. He's actually already gone into +1 vehicle weapons, so he's going to go for Mech style. INnoVation, don't know what's happened to him here, but apparently he wanted to play some Mech today, and that's exactly what he's going to start doing. As we have got the Hellions going to take position on the gold, going to morph into Hellbats, and they will start to come onto the creep spread now. So already coming through onto the creep, and obviously creep jimmers that can be cleaned if he wants to drop a scan. Does not do that just yet, as our queens will start to take a few shots of damage here. Well, the Banes just showed up, and the Banes just got really good connections, so that's going to be that. first wave, the Blue Flame Hellbats do absolutely nothing. Now I'm a bit worried because the Spire is going to be in play. Okay, INnoVation's making a Thor. But you know what the problem with the Thor is? It's very immobile. So where on earth is that Thor meant to be? Is it meant to defend the main? Is it meant to defend the natural? Well, yeah. I'll leave that question up to INnoVation because it's not going to be easy to pick and choose. And obviously the Mutalisks can kind of show up wherever they want to. Oh my goodness, another pretty decent Baneling connection there at the start of this. As these Hellions are going to go running, the Zerglings continue to give chase and will get the full cleanup in the end. As the Mutalisks build up from soO, he's only going to make 5. And I do wonder kind of, okay, he goes up to 6 now. I wonder just where the end goal is for soO. You know, what does he want to end up on here? Does he want to try and play like a heavier meter count and keep building meters? Does he want to just play meter Ling Bane? Does he want to switch into a Roach Roan at some stage? Because this is against Mech. Now, some players do play this Blue Flame Hellion attack into bio. So at the moment, soO doesn't necessarily know what this is. Oh, this was such a big scout earlier as well, by the way. Look at that. He actually saw this factory a little bit sooner with the armory. So good guy soO actually getting some scouting that I didn't quite realize. And that's actually pretty big information. We'll go back and check exactly when he saw that when the game wraps up, I think, because that's probably quite interesting to know. As a few SCVs going down. Well, like I say, where the Thor's meant to be. Well, they were in the main. Now they come to the natural very slowly. The Mutas back away. And yeah, soO's plan is just to switch into Roaches, which I think makes the most sense. Especially on this map. Ling Bane can work because it's the size of the map a bit, but I actually think it's kind of hard to find different bases to crash into again and again, and it's pretty predictable which direction that attack comes from. So it can be pretty hard to keep doing damage, unlike, say, Eternal Empire. You can kind of play Ling Bane Muta on Eternal Empire versus Mech. But on this map, I don't think it's quite as much of a thing, and anyways, it might not even matter, because INnoVation is just all in. There's no second base. soO is, of course, sorry, no second base. There's no third base, and of course, soO has seen this, and he's already just building Roaches. soO is up to 70 workers, and you could argue that maybe just a few too many based on what INnoVation is up to, but I kind of feel like it might not matter, because he's going to get some Banes up as well, and it really is just 2 Thors. And if the Banes get rid of the Hellbats, Roaches should get rid of the Thors without too much of an issue. There's Queens here to transfuse as well. Neas will fly in just to help out. They're going to start up on the Thors, and the Roaches start to arrive, and INnoVation is going to lose everything here. He will take down the Mutas for the most part, but then there's the Roaches, and okay, they don't have Roach speed just yet, but it doesn't matter. And soO is going to take a game number 2 of this best of 3. Let's just go back very quickly. I would kind of like to know when soO did scout this factory and the tech lab. Was it here already? So he doesn't see it yet. He's so close all this time. So he sees it now. He sees it just as these Hellions are coming across the map. So he knows as soon as the Baneling nest finishes to morph in the Banelings. So that's just bad casting by me missing that, because that's obviously a pretty big deal, just being able to morph the Banes in right away. And they're just ready instantly for these Hellbats, which obviously then the Hellbats come up this ramp and they run in and they think they can cancel the Banes because INnoVation thinks this has been hidden. So he kind of thinks he can cancel the Banes, which is why he just runs onto it and keeps the Hellbats clumped up. But in fact, INnoVation is wrong because soO knew about it before then and he was already making the Banelings. So yeah, INnoVation just didn't realize that he'd been seen, he'd been scouted out, and he'd been figured out. And that's actually why this attack goes so badly as well. So a cool moment just to jump back to that was missed in the moment, as soO ties it up 1-1 in the best of 3. Let's have a great game number 3 as we kick this off in the bottom left-hand side with the blue Terran player, INnoVation. And the top right, our red Zerg from the Afrika Freaks. It is soO. So yeah, a couple of aggressive games. Kind of feels like INnoVation caught soO off guard once and didn't catch him off guard the second time, to the point where he kind of lost the game because he thought he had. And obviously that first attack getting cleaned up so easily was a big part of the loss. As we get into this game 3 and just wait to see what the plan is. A Rax and a Gas from INnoVation already in the main base, so getting that started up, getting that underway. See where we're gonna get to. Thank you so much, Grom Down, for the 2-month resub coming in. Much appreciated. Why is my email open? Ah, sorry guys, that's just me leaving my email open from getting these replays out of my email. Sorry for the little email notification. I appreciate that might have been a little bit loud. But don't worry, it's not you, it's me having emails popping up and all that. As we get into Game 3, though, on the positive side of things, Eternal Empire is a nice fun map for a third map. Always can go on for a little while, can always be pretty interesting. As this Overlord makes its way up through this top side, looking to see what it can get up to. And there's a Reaper about halfway done from INnoVation at the moment, so getting that started up, it's going to be done fairly soon. The hatchery on the natural expansion. As the SCV comes across. So SCV through toward the natural, just going to see the couple of queens building. Lings are coming through and the Overlord will finish, and it's all the standard stuff that I can tell you exactly what is happening because it's all on the screen and you don't really need to know it, but I'll say it anyway. INnoVation will see if he wants to switch it up. Of course, if there's a map to play 3cc in and not take the second gas, this would be it. We'll find out that in a few moments because that's really the next decision to be made for him. And as we see the few Lings just wandering in and the Reaper getting pushed back. Reaper will then show back up and the few Lings getting picked away at. Link speed on the main base of soO. And the third hatchery again is already building here, so getting that third hatchery up and running. There is indeed our third CC. So no gas was taken. INnoVation will just play fast 3 bases. And again, has kind of looked to play Mech 2 games in a row so far. Obviously, we didn't really get to see much of it really come to fruition. I mean, you know, he ended the first game pretty quick. The second game kind of ended pretty quick. We never really got to like a proper mid game, right? I kind of love to see a bit of Mech mid game just because it has been so long. But typically, the 3cc does become a bio play. As soO here is going to come in. He's not going to see a second gas because the second gas is on the natural, so INnoVation just making it a bit more difficult for soO to figure out exactly what's going on in terms of info. Link speed will finish up on the spawning pools. The queen is about halfway done. As we do just have the squad setting up. So yeah, Reaper around the top side, and again, you see INnoVation just going to build this Viking. Really feels like this is just going to be stim starting soon then, and into the bio play, switching it up for this third map with just the pretty much most straight up standard play you can bring to the table. Things get us around, and that's going to be a Reaper going down already. The lair on the way from soO in the main base as well, so already getting that lair built up, and that obviously helps a bit as well. The couple of Hellions will hold on to the watchtower, and just seeing the again, Stimpack building up on the racks should give you a pretty good time as the Viking comes out down to the south. He's already going to find a few shots off onto this Overlord. So Overlord taking quite a bit of damage. Cleaned up early, and really no information then at all for soO. Obviously he knows it's a 3cc, so he kind of roughly knows what's going on anyway, but there's still a question mark. You know, there is possibility of going to 3cc and then a battle cruiser. And just with the way this series has played out so far, I do feel soO should maybe be a little bit worried about something like that being a possibility. Just because of how the way, you know, just because of, again, the way the game has gone up until now. There's those few Hellions back into the middle of the map. And a few shots off on a creep team already. So already that first creep team are taking a few hits right now. And the extra gases, engineering bays, all the racks. All the stuff we're expecting to see. soO opted for a faster lair. And of course, I mean, I feel like we say this every single ZVT lately because everybody is going for a faster lair. Faster lair, Spire in the Bane Nest. Bane speed should start soon. Of course, it does mean your upgrades are delayed. But those upgrades are going to be delayed, what? I mean, they're going to start up still pretty early on compared to the Terran. So it's not really that bad. And soO just going to get his 4th base up on the low ground. Already starting to get the creep spread out here, so you can get that creep out to about here, which is when the Terran usually sort of shows up and starts to begin fighting that back. And yeah, that's where we're going to kind of get stuck on right now, as INnoVation brings these few Hellions up to the top. 100 upgrades then still continuing, that Bane Nest building. And just seeing Everything similar from INnoVation side of things. Not really much to say, huh? Very standard for the moment, as we'll see our Hellions back around into the center. A lot of creep spreading around in a few different directions. So some out to the right-hand side, obviously, and starting to get into the center as well. But most importantly, really will be the creep in front of this fourth base, and the creep up here as well in front of the third, or to the side of the third base. Because this creep also eventually kind of gives you the creep in front of the fifth base location, so that's the creep you really want to have up, because then it really slows down what the Terran can do. Nice grab on a creep tumor on this right-hand side. The Hellions just back away, not getting themselves in too much trouble. It's been a very passive game from INnoVation. Only lost the Reaper. That means that this first push is really as powerful as it can be, with everything kind of joined up together. Hellions, Marines, and tanks. Just as the mutas come out as well, and obviously the mutas are not great at defending these sort of attacks, so let's see what soO can do. Banelin S will be done for this, of course. That's what you expect to see, but will not have 1-1. Now, INnoVation doesn't have 1-1 for another 10 seconds, but he will still get this. And he will still eventually, when the fight happens, he should have 1-1 against 0-0. So this is kind of scary. The mutas try and make a dive from the bottom side, but the Hellions get back to the tanks, and the Marines are with the tanks, so mutas won't do much there. The tanks will unsiege. What's INnoVation's plan? Morphin in Hellbats kind of says, hey, let's go forward and keep on trying to push, as mutas intercept medevacts, but there's Marines there as well. But he will get in a mineral line, and that mineral line will take some hefty damage because there's nothing there to defend it. First Hellbat does a good job of soaking up his INnoVation on top of the fourth base, losing 6 SCVs across the map. Mutas now into the main base. This problem will continue, but he does clean out the fourth, so you can get rid of the fourth of the Zerg. You can afford to lose a few SCVs in that scenario, but not too many. I mean, I'd say 10-ish is like already kind of max amount, and we're already at 13 with a few Marines now starting to set up, but not in everywhere they need to be. INnoVation gets attacked into here, and the Ling Bane gets cleaned up as the mutas make the decision to turn back around themselves. And INnoVation just continues up this ramp. Overlords continue to drop. The Queen's here in some trouble as well. And INnoVation, can he just break through this here and now? Well, Lings, mutas, and Queens are going to come through, and I don't think there's enough Marines to really stabilize. Reinforcements never came across from Inno because he was busy dealing with the Mutalisks. And in the end, INnoVation gets cleaned out. See, with so much money in the bank, if he could just spend those 1,600 minerals, imagine how many Lings that could be. I mean, he's already expanded to the right side, but I wouldn't even mind him seeing, yeah, double expanding, but even maybe just taking this base as well. As these Mutalisks will chase medevacs into the top left side, they will get cleaned out. So INnoVation does lose everything that was part of that attack. So you can see our army into the center. There's a couple of mutas showing up. Honestly, that Mutalisk count is quite scary, right? You know, we're talking about 17 Mutalisks. It's never a number to just kind of, you know, disregard. It's always one to keep in mind. And he's got a Thor out already, though, on his way to Drilling Claws. And those mutas are going to die very quickly if they make moves like that. In fact, Marines coming in from both sides, and that Mutalisk count drops by 5. 17 becomes 12. And that isn't as scary. Just right from the start there, that is nowhere near as scary, so bad Mutalisk movement from soO, good Marine positioning movement from INnoVation, that kind of combination. As Marines will take the Watchtower. And just INnoVation really feeling very confident with his map control. My goodness, soO. Oh, 12 becomes 9. Mutalisks are going to be more extinct than the Dodo if they keep this up. Running into Marines time and time again. Like, they are not going to... This is not going well for soO at all. We're going to see a couple of Lings able to grab this Marine. We're going to be seeing more Marines trying to show up, but this time doesn't get any Mutalisks. But hey, soO really needed to not lose Mutalisks this time around. On the plus side, soO did get both the bases up, so he is essentially up to 5 bases all of a sudden. So that kind of happened quickly, as INnoVation is just now moving out to take the 4th base location. So you'll bring this CC forward. There's obviously a few Banelins from soO already morphing in on the right side. Marines hanging around. Lings and Banes and Mutas backing off as well. 2-2 upgrades are about to finish. And that is still a pretty significant advantage from INnoVation. The timing on the +2 melee, for example, on soO, that's a minute and a half away. So it's a long time until he catches fully up on upgrades. And INnoVation doesn't skip a beat going into +3 attack. +3 armor he doesn't actually have the money for just yet. But if it's anything like the +3 attack, the moment he gets the gas for it, it's going to be down and it's going to be building. So Not too worried about him missing it for the moment, I guess. Lingbane Muter Army is just spreading out a little bit as Marines will gather back up on the left side. Carapace upgrade going to be finished soon, so at least he's on +2 Carapace. I'll always say it's the more important upgrade when it comes to biofights. So you just take so many shots on these Lings. You know, the Lings are always taking damage, whereas the Lings aren't always dealing damage. Kind of how the Marines, it's the same, it's like the opposite effect there for Marines with Marines against Lings. Just range units versus melee units, basically. And it just feels like soO doesn't really find any opportunity, didn't find anything down here, too many Marines defending. Marines will fly overhead and take down the watchtower. He's finally back up to 16-ish Mutalisks. Oh my goodness, not again though. He's starting to lose them again. Just as he got a few back up, it starts to fall apart all over again. INnoVation is just slowly pushing back the group to get into position on the 4th base. Marines are going to stem. The Bane's rolling through. And the Thors tank so many of the Baneling shots to begin with here. And that just means the Marines behind this are just going to be kind of left to their own devices. Now, there's another round of Banes that just finished up. There's even some Widow Mines left over to still fight here and pushing through. INnoVation looking to get this rich Vespian gas base. soO already pulls the workers away from it, knowing it's probably not going to go well for him. He does get rid of the Widow Mines without any kind of devastating explosions. But now it's just pure Zerglings running into bio units. Well, at least he got all of his upgrades finished up. But the resources lost, I'm showing you guys, it just went from 3,000 difference to 9,000 difference. And at the moment seems to keep on growing. As Lings and Mutalisks continue through, they'll finally be able to push this back. But the amount that was just lost there was absolutely crazy. So much lost in this fight as 3-3 continues through from INnoVation now, as we do have the +1 flyer carapace about to be done from soO. I mean, it's an upgrade that will maybe help those mutas a bit, not dying instantly to all of the with all of the Marines. It's just doesn't feel pretty for soO at all. It kind of feels like a game, in fact, that from the start felt like INnoVation had a pretty good setup in, right? The first push, and especially since all the mutas kept on dying. It's pretty rough. Again, soO just having a tough time, because now soO is stuck on Lingbane Muta tech. He's not found the money to tech up because of the losses. And because of that, now INnoVation is up 3-3 upgrades already. Lings, Banes running in as they crash on through. The few mutas coming in as well. Naturally taking a bit more damage. The mutas just going to fly into this. There's just no way you fight this. There's just too much bio on the ground, and soO does not have the units he needs. And now, rebuilding from that is going to be an issue as well. GG's, and INnoVation is going to take this one 2-1, winning out this little best of 3 here in this Alpha X event. Again, if this one was on the YouTube and you were watching it, then I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And thanks so much for continuing to support the channel. Don't forget to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/WardiTV, if you want to support the content and the tournaments we cast and run even further.